Dear students, the fifth factors which may impact on recruitment and selection procedure is legislative change. Legislative changes include number of acts. For example, there is a Disability Discrimination Act, there is a Workplace Harassment Act, there are acts which are related to hire minorities, there are acts which are related to hire the people with less age or the more age, there are acts which are related to the child labor. So being an HR manager, being a future HR expert, you need to know about these legislative changes currently operating in your context. Each context has a different legislative changes. If you are working in Pakistan, the legislative changes are different. If you would go to USA, legislative changes are different. If you would go to Dubai or Middle Eastern market, they have a different laws for their workers. So you have to be very vigilant, very expert to know about the legislative changes impacting on recruitment and selection procedures in your particular context. So it is a very, very context specific. When we have a Disability Discrimination Act, which may prove to have the biggest impact on all concepts of HR, including recruitment and selection procedure. The Act absolutely places an obligation on recruiters and selectors to respond to whatever disabilities applicants present. Whatever disabled applicants are presenting to you, you have to keep all those factors in mind in hiring disabled workers. How do you manage the dyslexic applicant? There are applicants with dyslexia, so you cannot give them a very simple test which you have prepared for an ordinary worker, the worker without any disability. So you have to manage the dyslexic applicant according to his disability. So who is faced with a case study, or you can give intro exercises with high written content. So it is very, very important to focus on a disability and develop your test or modify your test to facilitate such kind of applicants. Then if you have an applicant which have a partially sighted person who says they can tackle the test with a magnifying aid but has no idea, but we don't have an idea that how much extra time they might need. So these are very tricky things in recruitment and selection procedures, keeping in view the Disability Act. If you have a person with a partial sightedness, you can provide them a magnifying aid. You have to develop and modify the processes, their reliability and their validity according to the disability. The next big issue could be age. There are certain acts which are related to the age. Some publications are already refusing to take recruitment advertisements which specify age limit. If you want to make an advertisement and you want to send it to one of the publication or one of the newspaper, they may refuse your application, they may refuse your advertisement based on the specification of age in that advertisement. Because by law, it is not a good idea to put some cap on the age until or unless that is required for that particular job. How can employer justify statements like the successful candidates will probably be under the age of 35 years? Why successful candidates need to be under the age of 35? Why not before less than 35 years of age or more than 35 years of age? So you need to give logic. You need to give an argument that why you are putting a cap on age, why you are specifying age. Similarly, there are some organizations which also put some specification on gender, that for this particular job we only need females, we don't need males. Why organizations are putting some specification or some restriction on age, gender, disability and other different kind of a concepts? So being an HR manager, you have to keep these legislative changes in mind, and these legislative changes may impact on your recruitment selection procedure. And this is very, very context specific. If you are a manager in Pakistan, you may need to know different changes, and if you are in other contexts, you may need to learn and you may need to review the legislative changes occurring in those particular contexts. So it is a very context specific, and you need to know about the acts and different laws of different countries in a different context operating organizations.